All right, guys, we did it. Not only did we get to the end of the year, but we mastered it with this end at being at home and away from each other. So I'm so proud of you. I hope you're really proud of you too. This is our last section of new material. This is 10.8, and this is equations of circles. Okay, you're going to see this on the ACT like for sure. You're going to do it again in Algebra 2. And it's just something that you're definitely going to use. Okay, so, and I think that you'll find it's not super, super, super hard. Okay, so we're going to start with just talking about the standard form of an equation. Now, it does look a little bit scary, but we'll talk through it, and it's not so bad. Okay, the standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, so the point hk that we see in our equation here, the h and the k, that comes from this point, this ordered pair hk, that is the center of the circle. And of course, the r is the radius, okay? I'm not going to throw in any like new letters after all this, okay? So let's just practice this a little bit. All right, we've got our center at 5, 3, and our radius is at 2. So that 5 is talking about the h, and the 3 is talking about the k. So now I'm just plugging in, and of course this radius is r. So now I'm just plugging those into my equation. So I have x minus the h was 5, close parentheses squared. And then I have y minus the k. In this one, the k is 3 squared. Then I have r squared. If r is 2, then r squared is 4. I'm just going to write that was 2 squared. That's how we got that. Okay, so number 2. We've got a center. -1 is the h, and k is the 7. So here we're going to do, and of course this is the radius. So here I have x minus, but now in place of h, I'm going to have -1 squared plus y minus, the k is 7 squared, equals 14 squared. So that's going to give me x plus 1 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 196. Number 3, I've got an h and a k. Oh, careful here. It says diameter. Diameter is 18. So that means I know the r is 9. Okay, so now when I put in my formula, x minus -2 for h plus y minus -11 for k equals 9 squared. So when I simplify that a little bit, that's going to give me x plus 2 squared plus y plus 11 squared. Oops, I forgot my parentheses. Equals 9 squared is 81. Okay, let's try number 4. Okay, center, HK, diameter is 32. That means the radius is 16. So when I put that in my equation, x minus 0 squared plus y minus 9 squared, okay, 16 squared. Okay, so now let's simplify that a little bit. It's going to give me, well, x minus 0, that's just x, right? So this is going to be x squared minus, plus y minus 9 squared, and then 16 squared is 256. Okay, here we've got number 5 with center HK, the radius, this is the R. Okay, so the way I'm going to write that, I misspelled x minus -4 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the square root of 47 squared. Let's simplify that. X minus negative 4 is just going to be x plus 4 squared. And then y minus 0, that's just y. This is plus y squared. And then the square root of 47 squared. So this square root and the squared, they undo each other. They just leave 47. And you're done. Go ahead and try number 6 on your own. All right. Sometimes we have a graph and we're trying to write the equation from the graph. So what do we need? Remember back from our equation, what do we need? We need to find the center. We need to find the radius. So I need to look at this picture. Where is my center? Here's my center. My center is 1, 2, 3 for the x, and down 1, 2 for the y. Okay, now how big is my radius? All I have to do there is count. Okay, so if I go from my center to the outside of the circle, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means my radius is 5. Okay, so now we know that the center is HK for when I use my formula. I'm going to go ahead and write that formula down. You have it above, but since I scrolled down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it there, and then I'm just going to plug in the h, the k, and the r. So this is x minus 3 squared plus y minus negative 2 squared equals 5 squared. Simplify that, x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 25. All right. All right, you know how we do, guys. We always go one step further. So if I have the center and I have the point on the circle, okay, so what do I know so far? I know that this is the h and this is the k, but I don't have the r. To find the r, I could use the distance formula. And I'm going to write the distance formula over here. We did this back in chapter 1. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the distance formula, and that's going to help me find r. Okay, so I'm going to subtract my x's. 9 minus 7 squared, 10 minus 4 squared. It's going to be 2 squared plus 6 squared. So 4 plus 36, square root of 40. And I can just leave it like that, the square root of 40. So that's my r. So now I'm going to plug it in to my equation. X minus h, the h here is 9. Y minus k, the k here is 10. And then I'm going to have that square root of 40, and I'm going to square it. Equals r squared. So that left-hand side was already simplified. But the square root of 40 squared, the square root and the square, they undo each other and just leave 40. Okay, let's do that again on number 9. I'm going to find the radius first. Okay, so I'm going to subtract my x's. 1 minus negative 7 squared plus negative 5 minus negative 13 squared. That's going to give me 6 squared plus 6 squared. Oh, just kidding. How about 8 squared? Which is 36 plus 64 is 100. Yay, 100. Because that square root is 10. Okay, so now here's my h, here's my k. Y, oh my gosh, why did I start with y? I don't know why I started with y. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So when I simplify that just a little bit, we get that plus 5 and then 100. All right. Radius. Actually, I'm going to have you do number 10 on your own. And then I'm going to do 11. So here, the radius, I'm subtracting the x's. -2 minus -9 squared plus 0 minus -4 squared. So this is going to be 7 squared. This is going to be 4 squared. Let's see, 49 plus 16 is 65. Square root of 65, that's your r. And then this is your h and your k. So x minus -2 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals the square root of 65 squared. So let's simplify that. X plus 2, y minus 0, that's just y, so just write it y squared. And then the square root of 65 and squared, they undo each other, and just leave 65. All right. These next four are a good review of what we did earlier this chapter with area and circumference. Okay? So remember, the formula for circumference is 2 pi r. The formula for area is pi r squared. Okay? So now, these are all in terms of pi, which makes things easier. But we have to find the radius, because those are the two things we need when we're writing the equations of a circle, is the center and the radius. Okay, so here if I have circumference equals 2 pi r, the circumference is 6 pi. So I can divide both sides by 2 pi. Okay, 2 pi's divide out, pi's over here divide out, so r is 3. So here's our h, here's our k, r is 3. We're ready to write our equation. X minus -1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 3 squared. So this is x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 9. Okay, same thing here. C equals 2 pi r. So here 17 pi equals 2 pi r. When I divide, it's okay that I'm going to get a decimal here. No big deal. This is 8.5 equals r. So here's my h, here's my k, x minus 9 squared plus 12, oh sorry, got to put the y first. Y minus 12 squared equals 8.5 squared. So when I simplify that part, 8.5 squared is 72.25. It's the equation. Let's do a couple with area. Area equals pi r squared. 16 pi equals pi r squared. Divide by 6 pi first. 16 equals r squared. Hey, wait a minute. If I go back to my equation, wasn't my answer equal to r squared? See how it's already equal to r squared? So I actually don't even need to find r, because I already know r squared here. Okay, so this is going to be my h and my k. I already know r squared. And I think we're probably ready to just say minus a negative is adding. So x plus 8 squared plus y plus 11 squared equals 16. The r squared is already there. Okay, I'm going to start the same way here. Pi r squared, 361 pi r squared. Okay, so here I can just say r equals 361. Now the square root of 361 is 19, but we don't have to know that because we needed the r squared in the first place. So I'm going to call this h and this k. So this is going to be x minus 2 squared. And then y minus a negative is plus 2 squared. That's going to equal 361. All right, now let's work backwards. Before we do anything else, I am going to just write the equation again. Okay, we've been using it a lot. Now, notice that in our equation, we had these minus signs. Okay, so look back up here. Do you notice how the sign here and the sign here are opposites? The sign here was negative, but the sign here was positive. The sign here was negative, or positive, but the sign here was negative. So if I see a negative, I know that that center is a positive 5 and a positive 1. And then I can take the square root of 64 to give me 8 for the radius. For number 7, I'm going to take the opposite sign here, okay, because I know my formula used a minus. So minus a negative 7. So I know my center is negative 7. Opposite would be positive 2. And then the square root of 324, if you do that in your calculator, you get 18. Ooh, uh-oh, it didn't ask for radius, did it? Okay, so the radius is 18, but I'm going to check that actually. Yeah, but the diameter is 2 times the radius, which is 36. Okay, what about here? What happened when I don't have anything added or subtracted here? That means that must be 0. And then for my y, it's a 0, not an inside of parentheses. And then for my y, I have negative 10. Now, I don't know what the square root of 42.25 is, so I have to grab my calculator. Okay, when I do that in my calculator, I get 6.5. But I'm going to multiply that by 2 to get my diameter of 13. Go ahead and try number 19 on your own. Put your answer into Actively Learn. And then you know what? You're just going to skip this challenge problem and be done. Good job, guys. Proud of you.